Good evening, family, and welcome back to Viral Crimes with Jocelyn, where no case will ever be forgotten, you guys. So, tonight we're discussing the deeply troubling and highly debated passing of Tamla Horsford, this beautiful, beautiful young lady right here. Tamla went to an adult birthday party. It was a sleepover at a friend's home in Cumming, Georgia, on November 3rd, 2018. Tonight, we are discussing the deeply troubling and highly debated passing of Tamla Horsford. Tamla went to an adult birthday party. It was a sleepover with multiple friends in Cummings, Georgia on November 3rd, 2018. She spent the evening socializing, playing games, drinking, and talking with other guests. But Tamla never returned home, you guys. She never returned home. She never returned home to this beautiful family right here. The following morning, she was found outside beneath an elevated back deck. Let me see if I have a picture of this back deck right here. You know, when I look at this deck, I say to myself, okay, maybe a broken leg. But passing, just think, I'm not good with math. Wish my husband was here because he would be able to tell you how far she fell. But just looking at it visually, this is how far she fell to her passing. They're called, of course, and they did rule it a accidental passing. So there was no trial. There was nothing. Case closed. She had fallen from the deck after consuming. This is allegedly, because we can't say that this is facts because Tamla is not here to tell her story. We're getting this from the people that was at this party. So, according to the people at the party, she had been drinking. Of course, it's a birthday party. She's at a place with people that she trusted. She had on her rose petal glasses that I speak about all the time. Take them off. So she's there with her guard completely down. She's so vulnerable. She's consuming alcohol. They're having a great time. They're celebrating a birthday party. Her family, friends, and supporters have never been completely satisfied with this explanation. You know, so this is the deck. Okay, so now, when I first thought about this, I said, "Oh, it had to be a small deck." I'm thinking a very tiny deck. You know, maybe she tripped over something. But this is a pretty large deck. You know, doesn't look like a spot where accidents can normally happen. So they questioned the injuries, they questioned the scene, the witnesses, the handling of evidence, and whether Tamla's passing received a thorough investigation it deserved. Did it? Obviously, in the eyes of the law, it did because her case was closed. So, you guys, tonight, not here to convict anyone. Like I said, the case was closed. No one was charged. There was no court proceeding. There was nothing. Okay. So we're not here to convict anyone through social media. No attendees was criminally charged, and there has been no criminal court verdict finding that Tamla was murdered, you guys. We are just here to unravel and maybe break down some of this case so we can get a fresh look, and she deserves to be remembered. She deserves to be remembered. All of these victims deserve to be remembered. So we will be remembering them here on Viral Crimes with Jocelyn, you guys. So please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Turn on your notifications so you never miss a live from your girl. So you guys, we are here to examine the record carefully. We're here to see what can be confirmed. What did the witnesses say? Where did the accounts differ? Because there was multiple different stories. Let's get into this. So let's go back and look. And again, like the live, share it out, subscribe, and let me know in the comments where you guys are watching from. So tonight, we're speaking the truth. What happened to Tamla Horsford during the final hours of her life? So Tamla Anna St. Jor Horsford, that's a beautiful name. Really, really nice. Was born on October 10th, 1978 in Kingstown, St. Vincent, and later lived in Georgia with her husband, Leander Horsford, and their family. Her obituary lists she had 6 children, one of which she had adopted. Allegedly, I heard different sources said she was the stepmom. She adopted this child. The dad had one girl. They blended the families together. She then later had 5 boys. So before we're going to discuss the party, the drinking, the autopsy, and the controversy, we need to remember who Tamla was. So I'm just going to bring up some pictures that make you realize that she was a person. She had a family. So she was not simply the woman who passed at a sleepover. She was a wife. She was a mother. She had children who expected her home that night. You guys, can you imagine you're going out, and you tell your family, I'll see you tomorrow. And you're going out with people that you trust. And there's nowhere in your mind you said to yourself, I'm not going to come home. There's no way your husband, he said, baby, I'll see you tomorrow. Be safe. Call me tonight. She calls, checks in on kids. Everything's normal in those late hours. So what went wrong? So she was a daughter, you guys. Relatives loved her. She had her job adored her. Her neighbors. From what I can read, she was an awesome, awesome woman. So this is her here. I have a picture of her and her husband's wedding day. How beautiful. Very public photograph shows a woman who appeared deeply involved with her family. Accounts from those close to her described her as outgoing, social, and devoted to her children. One reason why this case became so emotionally powerful was that Tamla went to what should have been an ordinary gathering among women she knew. Okay? I like to take off my glasses so you guys can hear me better. Tamla went to a sleepover celebrating one of the women's birthday at this sleepover. She trusted these women. She knew these women. So this was not her saying, oh, I'm going to go sleep over at somebody's house. I really don't know them, but I'm going to go with my girlfriend. No, she knew these people. So there was no public indication that she believed she was walking into any type of danger, you guys. She thought she was safe. How many of us been to a sleepover with our friends and all we thought about is, where are we about to eat at? Who's cooking what? You're not thinking anything else. So some reports describe Tamla as a mother of 5, while her obituary, as I stated, said she had 6 children. That difference may involve an adult daughter or child she helped raise. We do not need to argue over this number. She had children, and they all adored her. I have a video. I like to go in and out with my pictures, my video, and the facts that I have accumulated over my research. So we're going to just start with this video right here. It's not long. I don't watch the whole video. I just hit talking points.
Tamla Horsford went to a friend's sleepover expecting laughter.
Okay. I didn't mean to stop this so soon, but they just went past that picture very quickly. So let me see. Okay, we have the picture. Okay. Audience, chat. Looking at Tamla's picture, what stands out to you about her? How should the media balance discussing a person's passing with showing who that person was in life? Is there anything where you would raise your eye about this photograph? Okay. There's another picture that was really interesting to me. I hope I have it. Let me see. Was it this one? Yes, this was a very interesting picture to me. It showed how she trusted, I guess, these people. They were close. Girlfriends, we horseplay with each other, so that's not nothing abnormal. So I don't see anything wrong with this picture. I showed you the guy. I wanted to show this picture because I want you guys just to see how close they were. They were not just regular old friends. You know, you don't climb up in somebody's lap that you don't know. Okay. So let's just start there. So let's keep going with this video. I just thought that picture was very telling of their closeness. So let's keep going, you guys.
Safety, and a night away from routine. But she never returned home the next morning. Her death was ruled an accident. But in the case of Tamla Horsford, the theories didn't add up, and the questions never stopped. They only got louder. Tamla Horsford was born on the 10th of October 1978 in Kingstown on the Caribbean island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. She lived there until she was about 11 years old, when her family moved to the US and settled in the Bronx in New York. Eventually, Tamla moved to Florida, where she met her future husband Leander, also known as Lee. Lee had a daughter from a previous relationship who Tamla raised as her own, and the couple had 5 more sons together. At the time of this case, their sons' ages ranged from the eldest at 14 years old to the youngest at just 4 years old. This wasn't just a headline. This was a mother with 5 young children waiting for her to come home. Eventually, the family moved to Cumming in Georgia due to Lee's work commitments. Now, before we go any further, there's some history about this area that's important to understand. It doesn't explain what happened to Tamla, but it does explain why so many people still have questions, and why this case has been viewed the way it has. In 1912, Forsyth County, where Cumming is located, became the site of a violent racial expulsion. After a black man was accused of assaulting and killing a white woman, white mobs descended on black homes and businesses.
You know, sometimes I hate when they pull this angle in. You know, we just need to focus on what happened. We just need to focus on the facts, and the facts that it looks a little suspicious. Let's just focus on that. And maybe if we can focus on that and get through these weeds, we can actually find out what happened to this woman.
Nearly the entire black population was driven out through violence, intimidation, and fear. For decades afterwards, the county remained almost entirely white, and by 1990, there were reportedly only about 14 black residents in the entire county. Tamla was known as the life of the party, and it was this warmth that attracted John Mayer's friendship. Both Tamla's and John's son attended football games.
Now, I did hear that she was the life of the party. So that explains how she ended up at that party. Okay. They loved her. People loved this woman. So now that we have centered Tamla as a person, let's discuss how she ended up at that home and what that gathering was supposed to be. So the event took place at a home in Gene Myers in Cumming. Witness summaries described it as a combination of a birthday celebration, a pajama party, a football gathering. Jean reportedly wanted a birthday evening at home rather than going out. Why? Because we believe it's safer. You start to get a little older, you know, being outside in a club is just not it anymore. So have your parties at home, bring the party home, you're safe, and you can really just unwind and let your hair down. Some guests played games and they socialized while the men see, that was the thing. It was a lot of I read different stories about whether or not men were allowed. There were multiple news media that said it was an all women's party. Okay. There was supposed to be no men. 2 of the people ended up bringing their boyfriends. I guess the one that lived in the house, which I understand that, you know, you live there, you live there. But no one else should have brought their man. The man in the house should have been either, as my husband would have been, down in the man cave or in the bed. He would have been nowhere around us having a good time. But I'm not going to put him outside his home. But I wouldn't expect for him to invite one of his homeboys over. So that was really strange to me. So Jean reportedly wanted this birthday at home where she can be safe. Some guests play games, they socialize while the men watch football downstairs. Publicly, people connected to this gathering Some of them knew each other and some of them didn't. So we had Jean Myers. Jean Myers, she was a homeowner and she was the birthday host. We have Jose Barrera. That was Jean's boyfriend. So it's their house, okay? Madeline Labardi was Jean's aunt and resident of that home. Okay, so we had three people that lived in the house. Now let's get into the guests. We had Nicole Lawson. She was a guest. We had Sarah Cockerham was a guest, which is really strange to me. I don't have pictures of these women because all of their faces are blurred out. The only one that I could find that their faces weren't blurred out, some of them, was the one picture with them all on the couch, but we don't know who's who. So we had Marcy Harden was a guest, Paula Seals, guest, Stacy Smith, Thomas Smith, a guest. Why was Thomas there? Hmm. So Jennifer Morrell listed in the official witness party records. So there was a lot of people at this party. Michael Pallarino, and then also Tamla Horsford. So you know what? I'm gonna go back and just count how many people was at this party. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 people at this house party. Okay. So this was not presented as a party for strangers. Tamla reportedly knew the host through their neighborhood and children's activities. The evening had been described as a girls' birthday pajama party combined with a football gathering. So I guess that's where the men came in at this football gathering. So let's keep going, you guys, with this video.
Which is how they met and became friends. On the night of the 3rd of November 2018, John arranged a sleepover with several girlfriends to celebrate her 45th birthday. The intention was for the guests to stay the night so that there would be no drink driving. So that evening, Tamla made dinner for Lee and her 5 sons before heading to the party and arriving at around 8:30 p.m. An hour.
Well, according to investigation summaries that I read, the party began around 7. So Tamala, she arrived, as they said, around 8 or 9 o'clock. But prior to then, the women had already started drinking. The party had already commenced. They're having a great time. They started playing games prior to her getting there. When she got there, pretty much the party was on and popping. Okay, so the men were downstairs, but again, like I said previously, all this information is coming from the people in this house. So let's take it all as a grain of salt. And allegedly, although no one was convicted and there was no court proceedings and everybody was found innocent, I want to put that out there as well. But just keep in mind that all the information that we do have came from inside this home. Okay.
Or so later than the other guests. Most of the women there were mums that Tamla knew from the local youth football league, but there were a few faces that she hadn't met before. Tamla arrived with a small overnight bag, and as everyone was bringing John a gift of alcohol, Tamla felt it would be extra special to bring a bottle of tequila from Mexico. But John said she didn't drink tequila and insisted for Tamla to keep it for herself instead. John recalls Tamla then taking a shot of Fireball before drinking her tequila with Mountain Dew or water. Soon after arriving, Tamla changed into a white onesie covered with a paw print design. The party was supposed to only be women attending.
Okay, this is where it gets a little bit weird. Okay. So now we have Jose. So now Jose account described only having Thomas Smith as the only other man present with him at this party. So there's all these women and just the two men, which was the man that lived in the house that was the boyfriend of Jean, who this was her birthday party, and then he invited Thomas Smith. However, you guys, the master list in the official report included Michael Pallarino. So that difference should be noted. Allegedly, like I said, I couldn't find pictures. Everybody is blurred out. But allegedly, there are pictures of Michael at this party. But it's not by itself proof of deception. It could relate to arrival times, departure times, or interview summarization. Who knows? But that's a huge fact to leave out, to say that Jose said there was only two men, but we know that there were three. Why was that? Why was that left out? Who knows? Let's keep going with this, you guys.
But John's boyfriend, 27-year-old Jose Barrera, also came along, as did the husband of another guest, Tom Smith. Planning to stay out of the way for the night, Jose and Tom watched the LSU football game in the basement, while upstairs, the women drank, socialised, and kept one eye on the game. As the only smoker at the party, Tamla stepped outside onto the balcony every so often, and she was also reported to be smoking marijuana. However, Jean poked fun at Tamla, calling her a female Bob Marley while asking her to stop, as her boyfriend Jose was a pre-trial officer and he didn't approve. During halftime, Jose and John joined the women upstairs for some food, and Jose also left briefly to get some more ice. Everyone then played Cards Against Humanity together for around 1 hour, before clearing up. Some guests then made their way to bed, while a couple of others who weren't staying left to go home. All photos and videos throughout the night showed everyone to be smiling and happy, and there was no reports of any arguments or disagreements. As the night was now winding down, John recalls Tam.
Now, I will say that I don't believe that Tamala was invited to this sleepover to be harmed. That I do not believe at all. I believe that she was actually invited there to have a good time, but something went left. And why it went left and when it went left, we will never know. But I don't believe that these people were like, okay, let's invite Tamala over. No, I don't believe that. And I have read nothing of the sort to even suggest that that was a motive of them bringing her to this party. They actually truly cared about her. They were friends. Their kids were friends. They had a great rapport that went on for, I don't know if it was years, but at least over a year. So I don't think that anything nefarious was in their minds prior to Tamala getting there. I don't believe that.
Wanting people to stay up longer. She was enjoying a rare break from her usual routine of a home full of boys, and was clearly enjoying the chance to socialise with other mums. But they declined, with most needing to be up early the next morning. The last guest still up with Tamla was Bridget Fuller. While Bridget waited for her husband to come pick her up, she recalled Tamla eating a bowl of gumbo. Tamla said that she planned to have one last cigarette before heading to bed herself. Bridget left the party at 1:47 a.m. At some point during the night, Tamla also FaceTimed her family.
And she called me, I don't know, around 10:30 FaceTime, and the girls were there, and the other girls were on the couch, and she was happy, she was just smiling. She said, "Hey, say hi to the girls, babe," and I was like, "Hi, girls," and so we had just a little short conversation. Wasn't really about much. I just asked her if she's having fun. She said, "Yeah, it's a good time. Everybody's having fun." Um, and I guess they were going to play a game in a little bit, and Cards of Humanity or something like that. So me and her ended up getting off the phone, and that was the last time I talked to her. But she was happy, and
Let me ask you guys this: how much weight should investigators place on those small inconsistencies? Y- You know, Jose was the host. I will say the host of the party as well as Jean. They were together, boyfriend and girlfriend. I don't know if he lived there, but how huge is that for you to have a party at your home and everyone that is there you don't know? Is it important to know the host? I don't go to any party that I don't know who the person is. I don't care if you invite me and say, "Oh, I talked to my friend. She says you." Yeah, I'm not going unless that invitation comes to me and it has my name on it. I am not going as your plus one. It's not happening. That's an uncomfortable situation to be in. I don't see how people do it. I really, really don't. So the fact that it's not sitting well that Michael Pallarino was at this party, but yet omitted from Jose. Yeah. And and actually Michael, because Michael and Jose was there. They should know if what did I just say his name was. So we had Michael Pallarino was there. All the guys they said was in the basement watching the game. Did they forget he was sitting next to him? It makes no sense. Sometimes I get stuck on the smallest details. So I don't know. So Gene's account indicated that the guests drank a lot of alcohol, socialized, they played games. Tamla reported bought a bottle of tequila, as the lady stated, and Gene didn't take it. And that's another thing. How many times someone comes into your home and bring you a bottle, and you look at that bottle and you say to yourself, "Okay, I'm a wine drinker. I don't drink. Take this back." No, you just take it and you add it to the bar within your home, and maybe someone else would drink it. But for her to say, "No, you take it back," that already lets me know her etiquette is off. That is horrible, you know? So witnesses account described her mixing her tequila with her Mountain Dew or water. Investigators later located the tequila bottle at the bar area that witnesses identified as belonging to Tamla. Approximately 1/8 of the bottle remained. How long was she there? Okay, so we know she got there at 8 o'clock. Um, the party it was like 1 o'clock. She was still trying to get the ladies to stay up. So we got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. That's 5 hours. You know, on a good day when you're having a party, it's easy to consume a little more than normal. So she had her tequila, she had her fireball. The records say that the women all were drinking. One police summary used language indicated heavy drinking, yet Jean and Jose described Tamla as happy and says she did not appear to be overly intoxicated when they left her downstairs. Now, mind you, they had video of her downstairs with still one of the other ladies, which she wasn't swaying, she wasn't slurring her words. So this just doesn't make sense, you guys. So let's keep listening to her husband's account of the time that he spoke to her prior to this all taking place.
She was smiling, something like that. So me and her ended up getting off the phone, and that was the last time I talked to her. But she was happy and she was smiling.
John had a home security system fitted, which sent notifications to her phone every time the front or the back door was used. So just 2 minutes after Bridget left, this system registered the back door being opened at 1:49 a.m. and closed again at 1:50 a.m., which is believed to be consistent with Tamla's plans to have a cigarette before she made her way to bed. But here's where things get a little unclear. Another notification showed the back door opening again at 1:57 a.m., but it was never.
Let's also ask ourselves this question. Okay, we're with our loved ones. These are people, like I said, that this lady was used to being around. These weren't strangers. If you're around, people that you're used to being around, you guys party together, you hang out together. They would know whether or not Tamla was behaving in a way that made anyone concerned about her safety. You would think. Did anyone offer to walk her outside when they saw her coming in and out? Did anyone take away her alcohol or have her just go lay down and sleep it off or get a cup of coffee? These are normally things that you do when you see one of your friends are overly indulging in something that's altering their normal behavior. So were people able to accurately evaluate her impairment after drinking themselves? That's another thing. They were also impaired. The whole house had been drinking. Did investigators retrieve any, you know, any blood toxicology from the people that, we have nothing because the case wasn't tried. I don't know if those things actually took place, but I couldn't find no evidence of it. There's no one talking about those type of things. How impaired was everyone in the house? And like I said, from the length this fall, and I will tell you this, normally if someone is intoxicated, let's look at this balcony again. If someone is intoxicated and normally their body is very, all over the place, normally that's what saves people. I know that my dad years ago was went out to a party, and this was back in the early 80s, late 70s. So, DUI and all of that was not even heard of. They would just go out and have a couple drinks with their buddies and come home. And something happened, and my dad ended up in a gully, and the car was like an accordion. My father was fine. They said had he not been drinking, then he wouldn't have. But because his body went with the impact, so he was just going for a ride. So now this just doesn't seem high enough. Put in the chat, drop it in the chat if you think that this balcony seems high enough for someone to lose their life. I'm thinking, like I said, concussion, broken leg, twist ankle, but death? I don't know. See, I'm tall. I probably could have stepped over there and been just fine, but I'm just saying, this does not look like someone could actually pass unless she landed on her neck, which there's no evidence that she did. So I couldn't find the autopsy. It's just a lot of unanswered questions. That's all I know. It's a lot of unanswered questions, and like I said, I can continue to go down this rabbit hole all night long with the what could have happened or what did happen or did they do this. I do know that investigators reported finding marijuana and roller papers in Tamla's purse. It's a suppressant. She was sitting back chilling. You know what I mean? She wasn't combative. She had a little in her and a little THC in her, and she had her little tequila. She was like in the zone, chilling. You know what I mean? Um, but not intoxicated enough not to be able to go back and forth outside. They said she went outside multiple times and she came back in. So they did do a toxicology that did identify THC and a Xanax along with the alcohol. So she had THC, Xanax, and some alcohol. The public evidence does not conclusively establish when or from whom Tamla obtained the Xanax from. Maybe maybe a doctor, but it was present. Okay, so let's get back into the video. Let's look at these times.
Never closed. It was just left open. The next notification wasn't until 4:10 a.m. when another guest, Marcy Harden, left for work through the front door. Hours went by before
Oh, that's
Madeline
Marcy.
Lombardi got up at around 8:30 a.m. to go about her usual morning routine of making coffee. Madeline lived at John's home and is a
Okay.
long-time close friend of John's mum. So over the years, they developed an aunt-niece style relationship. While making her coffee, Madeline would always look outside the kitchen window to check the weather and gauge the temperature. But while looking out of the window that morning, at around 8:45 a.m. on the 4th of November 2018, she made a discovery that nobody expected. Lying face down in the grass was Tamla Horsford, still wearing her white paw print onesie, but she wasn't moving. Madeline recalls.
Let me ask you guys, do you believe that if someone comes to your home and something like this happens to them, that the host should be responsible for the people that's in her home? I know when I'm here and we are having our parties, I'm looking around and make sure everybody's good. You know what I mean? And making sure nobody, if they got a little too intoxicated, listen, go in the bedroom, park your car, get in the bed, and you guys can leave in the morning time. You know, so should is this something that could have been like a civil charge against the homeowner? Because isn't her job to um, look out for the people that she invited into her home? I'm just throwing things out there. I'm not sure.
Saying a prayer before going upstairs to inform Jose. John was questioning why Jose was needed, with Madeline responding that there is something wrong with her friend from the islands.
And I looked at my niece and I said, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to Jose. And my niece went, something's wrong. What's wrong? And I said, your friend from the islands is in the backyard laying in the grass.
That's pretty cold. That's pretty cold. You done party with this woman all night long. She is a close friend of your whatever auntie niece relationship, and you refer to her as the lady from the islands. What are we talking about here?
John and Jose made their way downstairs and out into the back garden, finding Tamla laid in the grass. Jose touched her leg to see if she was alive, while John called 911 just before 9 a.m.
Forsyth County 911.
Hi, yes. I need an ambulance and a bridge to my home. My name is John Myers, Jeanne. We had people over last night. We were drinking. Most of us went to bed. One of them stayed on the balcony. She was drinking, and we just went outside, and she's laying face down in the backyard. It looks like I'm guessing maybe she fell off the balcony, but she's sick.
As you'll have just heard, John sounds very calm while remarking almost immediately at the possibility of Tamla having fallen.
All right, you guys, let's we're gonna slow it down and we're gonna get into the timeline. You know, I hear that people are in the chat. We're multi-streaming everywhere, and I'm hearing all the dings, but I apologize. I don't have it set up where I can see everyone, but I will have it set up tomorrow. Listen, bear with me. I'm getting there, you guys. Thank you guys on YouTube. I'm 20,000 plus subscribers on YouTube. Thank you very much. TikTok, I appreciate you guys. Double tap that screen. Get this out into the algorithm because we're going to be talking about the stories that matter. We're going to be bringing up stories that were closed that people may have forgotten because the victims at the end of the day should always be remembered, and they will be on Viral Crimes with Jocelyn. So please like, share, and subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you never miss a live, you guys. We're everywhere. If you're on Kick, Twitch, Patreon, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Rumble, we are live everywhere. So please bear with me when it comes to the chat box. I'm not ignoring no one. I just cannot see it. I can only hear it. So my apologies. So let's break this down. So there was a timeline. So the official case summary provided this sequence timeline. Okay. So we had about 10:30. Nicole and Sarah, they left. They didn't stay over. And I wish Tamla would have left as well. So in between 10:30 and 1:45, Bridget Fuller left. So I'm assuming 10:30, Tamla was alive. 1:47, Tamla was alive. The sheriff's summary described her as the last person known to have seen Tamla. Tamla was reportedly downstairs by herself. Why? At 2:00 in the morning. Let's just keep going. So around 1:49 a.m., the rear door opened. Around 1:50, the rear door closed. How much can you get done in a minute? Sometimes a minute can feel like a lifetime. So then whatever happened in between 1:50 and 1:57, so that's 7 minutes, what was going on inside the home? Then the rear door opened again. But the weird thing about this, not only did the rear door open again, the rear door never shut. It remained ajar, you guys. It remained open. Okay? So now this door stayed open from 1:57 to approximately 4:10 a.m. when Marcy left for work. Okay? So now we have 2-hour gap. Marcy leaves about 4:10. No one, the house is still, okay? To around 7:45 a.m. So what's that? 4, 5, 6, 7, another 4 hours, okay? Then Paula Seals, she leaves. This is just insane to me. We have all these people moving around this home. No one realized that the back door was open. Okay? So now Marcy leaves at 4:10. Paula Seals leaves at 7:45. So approximately 8:30 a.m., Thomas and Stacy left. This is mind-blowing, you guys. It's mind-blowing. Everybody gone. And no one says, why is Tamla not up and moving around? She too have children and a husband to get home to. Why is she still asleep while this house is this busy? Okay. So now we're at 8:45 where Madeline Labardi saw Tamla outside. So early on, it was noted that Madeline, she liked to drink her coffee, stand by that back window, and gauge the weather. All right, let's get back into this video, you guys.
Fallen from the balcony. Once police arrived, they pronounced Tamla dead at the scene, and her body was sent for an autopsy. But before the results of the autopsy could even be conducted, Forsyth County Police already began to work to the theory that
You know what, you guys, we gotta wait. Hold on, you got we gotta one more thing. Okay, so Tamla's body was found at 8:45 a.m. The 911 call did not come in until 9:59. Huh? Why? Why did it take them almost 15 minutes to call 911? It makes no sense. So this is the most important timeline in this case to me. It really, really is. You know, although we have Bridget Fuller who documented leaving at 1:47, we have all this gap, and then we have the one leaving at 4, another one leaving at 7, another one. Everybody is just leaving. You know, we had the few that left the night before, and we had everyone else left, but everybody was left in the home. They stayed, they get up, they leave. We have Jean, Jose, Madeline, the 3 people that live in the home. Now, mind you, these people are moving around in their house. I don't know about you. Now, they're saying Madeline got up at 8:45. So you mean to tell me all these people are moving around your home and you don't get up with your guests to say, all right, you guys get home safe. It was great having you. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the good time. You say nothing. You stay in the bed until 8:45 and then get up and make you a pot of coffee. You don't get up and make your guests coffee and say, hey, there's a pot brewing. If anybody want coffee before they leave. It makes no sense. It's not normal behavior. So this timeline stinks to me. I don't know if it stinks to anybody else, but it smells bad. Madeline gets up at 8:45. She then goes and yells to Jean, I want to talk to Jose. So now, mind you, that means Jean and Jose are also in the bed. So the 3 owners, the hosts of the house, are all sleeping while all these people are just moving around their home. Listen, drop a 1 in the chat, you guys, if this is normal behavior. I may be a little odd or a little crazy, but I'm not having nobody roam my home when I'm in my bed sleep. My husband is in the bed sleep. My auntie in the bed sleep, and party goers are just out here running amok, obviously. So it wasn't until 8:45 that Madeline even rear her head and then sees the girl from the island on the ground. Didn't even have her respect enough to call her by her name. Stinks to me.
accident caused by a fall. A determination that Lee, Tamla's husband, didn't agree with at all.
And so I was sitting on the front porch with them, and they're like, well, it seems that there was an accident. It seems she tripped over something and fell in the grass and this and that. And I'm like, my wife tripping over something and falling in the grass? I've seen this girl drink half a bottle of tequila and dance salsa in 6-inch heels.
Go ahead, girl. Go ahead, girl.
Don't make no sense. She didn't trip over anything.
As we know, Tamla had been drinking that night. The bottle of tequila that she'd been drinking from was said to have very little remaining the next morning. But despite this, none of the guests could describe Tamla as drunk. None of the videos from the night showed her to be erratic. And Lee has said that Tamla had a very high tolerance for alcohol. Nor could he believe that she would allow herself to get so drunk in front of people that she had just met that would also result in a fall.
But one thing I do know about my wife, and this is, it may not be a good thing, but we're both from the islands, and we both grew up drinking. And she could handle her liquor. She could handle. I mean, and she would drink like straight shots of tequila.
Jose revealed that John had security cameras fitted around the exterior of her home. This was after the split from her ex-husband.
Okay, that was something I was about to say. I did read that the lady did have reportedly a home security camera system throughout her entire house, outside and inside, after she separated from her husband. But investigators did not obtain the videos. Why? Th- They didn't obtain the videos showing what happened on the deck. Records reference cameras um, all over. But then later, it was noted that the cameras had battery issues and an email with low battery. It just all seems too easy. Seems too easy. So the absence of the videos is one of the exact sequencing that they added to it, but yet didn't add to it. There's video, but we don't see anything. And we watched them at 9:45 a.m. What? So the door system recorded openings. Tamla, the witnesses said she reported seen going outside to smoke. Just wrapping this in my brain. Investigators, they concluded that Tamla likely walked on the deck and fell again. Let's look at this deck. Okay, we're gonna go on the top of the deck where she was standing. Hold on, let me see. There it goes. Okay, so now think about it. She walks out the door, which the door is. Y'all see my little pointer? Let me see. I don't think y'all see my pointer, but anyway, the door is further right hand side of the screen. She walks out. Was there anything tumbled over? Were there chairs on its back? The table flipped over? Was there anything that moved around that looked like it was disturbed? Was there anything? Because she would have had to come out that door. Now, mind you, let's keep in mind, she had been going in and out this door, they said, all night. So she was familiar with where she was walking. Let's just note that. So now we have her. She walks out the door that she has walked out several times that night. Where was the chairs? What did she trip over? There's no reports of anything being disturbed on this deck. See, you know what? Oh, gosh. None of this would be sitting well with me at all if I was her husband. I would not be able to sleep at night knowing that we have all these questions and nothing is answered. And we just have somebody just saying a whole house full of, well, actually, it wasn't a house full of people because everybody left and the host and the family that threw the party was in the bed. What is going on here? There's 13 people at this party, and the host, niece, and the boyfriend stay in the bed while everybody leaves. They don't say goodbye. They don't say thank you for your gift. Thank you for, being here with us and celebrating. Get home safe. Let me make you a pot of coffee. No, anyone want breakfast? Come on, man. When something doesn't make sense, it's not right. My daddy taught me that years ago.
As he would continue to access the home. But unfortunately, the camera batteries had died, so there was no footage from the
How
night to
convenient.
give more of an idea of what exactly had happened. Police initially suspected that a fall from the balcony was plausible, as John had already suggested. After all, the home security system had shown the door had opened and never closed again. And Jose had also found an unlit cigarette.
Which is really strange. Just imagine. The door was open, stayed ajar while everybody left. Everybody left the party. They're getting up in the morning. They're leaving at 1:45, 4 a.m., 7. Doors open. Nobody says nothing. Madeline then comes downstairs, makes a pot of coffee. She doesn't know that the door is open. Now, mind you, the door is... Hold on. Let me see if we can see where this door is at. with inside the kitchen. Do I have a, please I have a picture inside the kitchen. Let's see. I think it might have been inside the video. Shoot. Because from the video, it looked like that door that's on the right-hand side came from the kitchen. Okay. So all these people, you know that they went into the kitchen. I don't care what nobody says. You have a party, everybody ends up in the kitchen. Whether you're leaving, coming, or going, they're in the kitchen, period. Not Madeline, Jose, and Jean, because they're still in the bed, allegedly, while their guests are leaving. Okay. So now the guests are leaving. They're in and out this kitchen. No one sees the door ajar. Madeline then gets up. She goes into the kitchen. She makes a pot of coffee. She doesn't see the door ajar. She stands in the window with her coffee. She's sipping her coffee. She looks down and she sees the island girl. Don't even say her name. How little respect. The island girl. So I think this is the... Okay, hold on, y'all. I'm hoping that they rewind this because I don't want to go back because I don't know where we at. But as you see here is a little clearer. That door appeared to be in the kitchen from the inside of the house where Madeline was standing after everybody left. Come on, make it make sense.
And a lighter on the floor of the balcony, which he recalls moving before police arrived. But once Tamla's autopsy results came back, showing the extent.
So Jose, because she said him, or was it? Because we had Madeline, Jose, and Jean still in the house. Someone saw a lighter on the floor and picked it up. How convenient. How convenient.
Her injuries. One investigator suggested another theory. Cuts on Tamla's shins were said to have possibly corresponded with tripping over a little metal barrier or fence, or as they referred to it, landscaping, which was close to Tamla's feet. But when combined with the severity of the other injuries to Tamla's body, a ground floor fall just made absolutely no sense. The medical examiner stated it would be impossible. These are the injuries.
I said that from the dead beginning. When I saw the balcony, I said, there's just no way that this... And why are they talking about the landscape? And that she already hit the bottom at that point. That shouldn't have even came into, unless she hit her head on it or something. But they said she could have tripped. None of this makes sense. I could have probably stepped off that balcony and landed on my feet. A twist ankle, the most. But death? Nah, nope. But now, be mindful who Jose was. Jose was some type of official. I can't remember. I should have wrote it down. My mind ain't... I'm getting all this stuff in my mind, but some of it is not sticking. But Jose, because they stated that he had a problem with her smoking because he was... Oh, I'm gonna have to look it up. So I'm just saying, we cannot look over anything because obviously they looked over everything.
Documented in Tamla's autopsy. I'll list them all, and you can decide whether these sound consistent with a fall. They consisted of blunt force trauma to the head, torso, neck, and extremities, including abrasions to her face. There were 4 types of hemorrhages in Tamla's brain, and cuts to her arms and legs. Her neck was broken. She had a laceration to the right ventricle of her heart, and her right wrist was also dislocated, which investigators say would have been the result of trying to break her fall. No SA kit was
Okay, you guys.
done, nor were any fingernail clippings.
I'm going to play that again. I'm going to play that again and again. What happened to this young woman, I'm not saying that anybody did anything. I don't know. But I do know that she did not get all of those injuries from tripping and landing on the ground below her. Let's go back. Let's listen to these injuries again. Hold on, y'all.
These are the injuries documented in Tamla's autopsy. I'll list them all, and you can decide whether these sound consistent with a fall. They consisted of Blunt force trauma to the head, torso, neck, and extremities.
Somebody beat this woman. Okay. There was a faint half an inch by half an inch superficial abrasion of the right side of her forehead. She was struck by something. It wasn't too impactful, it just left an abrasion. There is a half by a fourth inch abrasion of the left upper eyelid. She got hit with something. So the right side, this woman was fighting for her life. She was fighting for her life. Abrasion on the bridge of her nose, on her right temple, on her chin.
Including abrasions to her face. There were 4 types of hemorrhages in Tamla's brain and cuts to her arms and legs. Her neck was broken and she had a laceration to the right ventricle of her heart.
This lady was beat to an early grave. Did you? Listen. Hold on, y'all. She had a laceration of the right ventricle. You know how hard, and that fall would not have caused these injuries. Why was this all overlooked? Or why didn't, who were these people?
And her right wrist was also dislocated, which investigators say would have been the
Right.
result of trying to break her fall. No SA kit was done, nor were any fingernail clippings taken, because police said that there were no signs of foul play.
What? Now, Jose, I'm telling you, Jose has something. Listen, we're going to have to figure out who the heck Jose was. I can't remember what he did, but they said it in the beginning because he laughed at her, didn't agree with her smoking, called her Bob Marley. What? How inappropriate is that?
No fingerprints were taken. The contents of the
This
tequila
gets
bottle
worse.
that Tamla was drinking from wasn't tested, and the guests attending the night weren't immediately interviewed. There were also no photos taken during the autopsy, which is normally just standard practice. With a blood alcohol level of 0.238, roughly 3 times the legal driving limit, investigators said that blackouts and loss of coordination were possible. But according to everyone who was there, Tamla didn't display those behaviours that night. But investigators determined the combination of alcohol and marijuana found in her system likely contributed to the fall. Xanax was also found in her system, which Tamla wasn't prescribed, nor were any of her family. Allegedly, a guest at the party, however, did take Xanax, and also had a history of sharing it with others.
They found Xanax, but the problem with what they found with the Xanax is it wasn't in her liver, which means that it was just given to her.
Yeah.
Tamla's case.
See, that's why I said we have to take all these accounts with a grain of salt, because all of this information was given to us by the people that was in that house. Tamla can't tell us. She can't express how she felt. So this is just he said, she said, and it's unfortunately that most humans, all we do is lie. And that's why the stories are a little different, because it's not the truth. You don't have to come up with a story for the truth. The truth is the truth. Like I said, I got up this morning, I made myself a pot of coffee, and I got online and I started working. I'm going to tell you that story every day, all day. But if I wanted to cover up something, and you start to over explain yourself. Well, I got up in the morning. I put my socks on, put the right one on first. I went to the bathroom. I brushed my teeth, and then I washed my face, and then I went downstairs and I made tea. You just said you made coffee. Did you make tea or did you make coffee? Which one is it? This is what was going on with her. Too many stories.
Remained open for 4 months when on the 20th of February 2019, the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office ruled Tamla's death an accident. But when you look at the timeline, the injuries and the unanswered questions, was it really that simple? Friends and family were left with many glaring questions. How did she fall over a railing of nearly 4 feet? And how did
Right.
no one within a house
Heard her.
not hear someone fallen from a balcony? And that's before even looking at Tamla's injuries. Some have argued that they're far more severe than that of a fall from 14 feet, and that the marks on her arms may have been defense wounds from a possible altercation.
And that's exactly what it sounds like. And not only did she have an altercation with one person, two people, one female, it sounds like she was beat by men. I'm allegedly, I don't know. These are just my thoughts, based on the injuries that the autopsy showed. You know, when there is no witness, you guys, there's no witness to the passing. What evidence, becomes the most important? Wouldn't it be the physical evidence, the toxicology report, whether or not the witnesses' testimonies are consistent, the rape kit, fingernails, hair samples? What happened? Who dropped the ball on this case? Who dropped the ball?
The positioning of Tamla's body also caused concerns. Tamla was found face down. Her head wasn't canted to either the left or the right side. So surely this impact from a fall would have resulted in at least a broken nose. But it wasn't broken. Both of her legs were extended behind her, with both feet pointing to the right. But then discrepancies arose in the positioning of Tamla's arms. The party guests recall that both of her arms were down by her side, which is not what police noted on their reports. The police drew an image showing that Tamla's left arm was extended and bent at the elbow, raising the question, was Tamla's body actually moved to coincide better with their theory of a fall? Many began to believe that Tamla may have actually been murdered. Those at the party quickly came under public scrutiny. And
I will say this, you guys. So this is what we have, okay? Like I said, we're not going to be rushing through this case. She deserves more than us looking at our clock and saying, is this almost over? So we have several reportedly, the people house guests, they left approximately in between 4:10 a.m. and 8:30 a.m., having some other people leaving around 1:45 that morning. Okay. So we have that. Nobody's reporting that they had seen Tamla at all. She's not in the house. She's just nowhere. And this is where I'm saying she's nowhere. You have all these people moving around. Everybody's leaving. The only ones that allegedly are still in the bed are the hosts of the party, which was Jean, Madeline, and Jose. Okay. So now everybody's leaving and going home, and no one says, anybody see Tamla? Is Tamla up? Because now, mind you, Tamla's got 5 children at home. She's got a husband waiting for her. You think Tamla said to herself, you know what? I'm going to sleep in the 12 today. And do you think that Madeline, Jose, and Jean said, you know what? I'm going to sleep in and just let the guests leave whenever they want to leave? Because they all seem to have left, the bulk of them, in between that 4:10 and 8:30 in the morning, with Madeline getting up at 8:45. So 15 minutes earlier, Madeline could have said bye to her guests and thank you for coming. So my question is, how visible was the location from the doors, the driveway, the neighboring properties? I'm just thinking, because this is 159, that door opened and stayed ajar. It's a lot of time. A lot of people moved around. Although everybody probably left at the front door, yes, but that door being ajar and never being closed, something else we need to ask ourselves. Yeah, let's get back to the video. There they go again. The guest and the maid of honor look like they're having a great time. So where it went wrong, maybe one day we will know. Maybe.
Received death threats. As the only black woman at the party, theories of what really happened started to travel across social media. Jose Barrera, the pre-trial officer, was of particular interest. Tamla's case only became national headlines after Jose was fired less than 2 months into the investigation. Authorities discovered that he used his role to illegally access reports related to the investigation while he was still a witness. He had also looked up a friend of Tamla's called Michelle Graves. Michelle, like many others, wasn't satisfied with the investigation. She had made multiple posts to social media, which were viewed many times.
That's what Jose was. He was a pretrial officer. And he supervises and monitors a person who has been charged with a crime but is waiting for trial. Their duties may include confirming the person's address, employment, assessing whether the person may miss court or pose a safety risk, explaining release conditions, monitoring requirements such as drug testing, electronic monitoring, travel restrictions, or no contact orders, reminding the person about their court dates and reporting violations to the judges. So there he had a rapport with the judges. He had a rapport with officers. He had a rapport with the system. Let's just keep that noted, which he did lose his job. Why is he looking up this woman if it was just merely an accident? And once the whoever found this out, why didn't this then become a part of, let's dig deeper into this case?
Accusing those who attended John's party that night of playing a role in Tamla's death. They later sued Michelle, claiming she had damaged their reputation. So Jose also looked up Michelle's details on the police system, finding her address and phone number, but no legal action was ever taken against Jose. Then, in October 2020, the lead investigator of the case, Mike Christian, resigned. It was discovered that he had been sharing confidential details and files of the case with girlfriends, including sending photos of Tamla's body and sharing the unreleased toxicology report. He also didn't refer to Tamla by her name. He instead referred to her as the porch lady, poking fun at the theory behind her death. But this is despite him even questioning the conclusion himself. He had allegedly also told women that although he believed her death was accidental, he didn't believe that Tamla had fallen from the balcony. Months prior to his resignation, Tamla's sister-in-law hired a new attorney, Ralph Fernandez, in June 2020. He started his own investigation. He claims that the investigation had been botched from the beginning, with conflicting witness statements, inappropriately handled evidence, and lack of autopsy photos.
You think? So let's, you know what? Let me keep going with this because I got something else. Let's keep going with this little video.
He sent a letter to Lee, concluding that the evidence strongly pointed towards murder, stating that her injuries were inconsistent with a fall. Another thing within the case that really sparked controversy was that John had bought all of the officers Dunkin' Donut gift cards.
I'm gonna start charging y'all rent.
Get out of my head.
Look, and I just went and got y'all gift cards.
Oh, what are they gonna
Being
bring them
so
on? I told
nice.
them I just made them cookies.
But then I was told.
Now, you hear the commentator. It sounds like she's saying John, but she's saying Gene. So there's no John in here whatsoever. She's saying Gene. It sounds like John, but it's Gene she's talking about.
I shouldn't, because then it could look bad if I give you something before the case is closed.
Oh, well, you better wait.
So.
People questioned if they actually bribed the officers to continue with the theory of the fall. With Tamla's death still ruled an accident to this day, friends and family have urged the FBI to investigate this case in hopes of receiving more definitive answers. Well-known celebrities such as 50 Cent and Kim Kardashian have also expressed their concerns with the investigation, urging more attention should be given. I'll leave the link to the petition in the description and pinned in the...
All right, you guys. So what we also have is that we have the independent autopsy by the family. Okay. So Tamla's family arranged for a private examination by forensic pathologist Dr. Shaker. His review did not formally declare the death a homicide. He stated that prior autopsy and passage of time limited his ability to determine the precise cause independently. This happens way too much where the first autopsy is done. There's so much damage to the organs as they're going through there, doing whatever they're doing, flushing out stuff, chopping up stuff. And then they said, here's the kibbles and bits. And they expect this independent autopsy to come up with something that the initial autopsy did not. Hard, very, very hard. But however, he raised questions regarding the timing and appearance of the right wrist injury and aspects of the injury pattern. So state medical examiners continue to maintain that the injuries were consistent with the fall and dispute the idea that the wrist findings proved anything post-mortem. I don't know. This is just a horrible case that went wrong, and the due diligence to find out what happened to this mother, this wife, this daughter was not done. So it just raises so many questions. He questioned whether the wrist fracture showed the amount of surrounding hemorrhage expected if it occurred after passing. He also examined the relationship between the reported fall and other injuries that Tamla had. But because Tamla's body had already undergone autopsy and so much time had passed, he said his ability to make a completely independent determination was extremely limited. The state examiner maintained a rapid death affected the development. No. Of course, the state, sometimes they just say the stupidest things. So therefore, we do not have any reports saying it was an accident by the independent pathologist. We just don't know, you guys. So also the family's attorney, Fernandez, he represented Tamla's family publicly. He expressed the belief that there was strong possibility of homicide. This is his theory. He criticized what he viewed as conflicting statements, evidence handling problems, and insufficient scene preservation. As we heard, the lighter was outside. They picked the lighter up. They went down there. The one person said she had her legs. It's just too many inconsistencies. So those statements represents the family's attorney's interpretation and were not adapted as criminal findings by the court, you guys. Like I said, there was no charges brought. It was stated to be an accident. There was no court hearing. There was no arrest. There was just nothing. So you guys in the chat, should an independent pathologist unanswered questions be enough to reopen a closed case? If he is raising more questions than answers, should this case remain closed, or should there be some other steps to try to figure out where did they go wrong from the beginning? Or should it be closed as a cold case and not just closed? I don't know. So shortly after her passing, Jose, who worked in the local court system, accessed the incident report. He was terminated from his employment. Why are you digging an accident? It was an accident, Jose. The sheriff described this action as unethical, but not illegal. He still got fired, but he didn't go to jail. So this becomes one of the most damaging facts for public trust. It really does. Just think about it. All of this stuff is going on in the background. They're calling her porch girl. Madeline's buying donuts. Why? So what was the relationship that Madeline had with these people that she felt so comfortable to go to the Dunkin' Donuts and get 12 dozens of assorted donuts and bring it to the police department and then laugh and giggle with them as they eat? A person who has been at the house worked within the county court system. I knew it. There's connections somewhere. And if you were smart and you were looking at this case without your rose petal glasses on, you would have seen this from the beginning like I did. Although he was fired, he was still in there. Authorities said that the action was unethical, excuse me, but not criminal. Okay. The public record established that he accessed the report and lost his job. Good. Hopefully, Jose never finds work again. So, the second investigation, because there were two, public pressure increased significantly in 2020. The case was turned over to Georgia Bureau of Investigation for an independent review. In July 2021, the district attorney announced that the GBI reinvestigation did not produce evidence supporting criminal prosecution. No charges again. So the prosecutors, they concluded that the available evidence did not support filing and proving a criminal case. So unanswered questions are not answered. They're just that, and they remain just that, unanswered. So what happened in court? There was no court. There was no trial. No one was arrested or prosecuted for Tamla's passing. There was no criminal trial where witnesses were able to testify under oath, someone able to question them. There was just nothing. We had to just go with what those people said in that house, and what they said, according to this case, was Bible. It was Bible. You know, there was nothing to be proven according to them. So in February 2019, Gene Myers, Jose Barrera, and Nicole Lawson, Stacy Smith, Thomas Smith, Bridget Fuller, Marcy Harden filed a civil lawsuit against Michelle Graves. The plaintiff alleged that Graves had publicly accused them of Tamla's passing. A temporary protective order was given to the friend. That's how she felt. She should have just said allegedly. These are allegedly my feelings. You know, so that happened. It means that the civil lawsuit ended without a final trial judgment on any of these issues, you guys. So where's the line between advocating for a deceased person and publicly accusing any uncharged individual? That's why I potentially state that these people were not charged. There was no trial. They are innocent in the court of law. They are innocent. They are innocent, you guys. Unfortunately, that's what it is. So Tamla's toxicology reflected a high blood alcohol concentration with some THC, and she had that Xanax, which did not make it to her liver. So who was up with her that gave her that Xanax? So multiple witnesses summaries indicated that Tamla did go outside. We know that, left the door open, never made it back in. The injuries were severe. We have to come up with our own thoughts behind it, using our own brain. Not that we can do anything now at this point, as it was shut down twice, but we can keep her name alive, and we can continue to just put this out there. Hopefully you get this stuff out into the algorithm so other families can know what to look for, what questions to ask, what to raise, and just not settle for this is it. So these concerns do not prove murder, you guys. They don't. This is Violent Crimes with Jocelyn. I'm just picking stuff apart. My brain just be on autopilot sometimes. They explain why the family and many members of the public believe the investigation left too much room for doubt. That's what it does. So Tamla attended the gathering, and unfortunately, the people that she thought she could trust, she couldn't. So, you know, at the end of the day, everybody's innocent. So tonight we walked through the life and death of Tamla Horsford. We discussed the party she attended, the people who were present, the timeline, the door records, the 911 calls, the toxicology, the autopsy, the independent autopsy, the family concern, the GBI investigation, and also the second investigation that agreed that the first investigation was correct. The official conclusion remains that Tamla died in an accidental fall. Her family continues to question whether or not that conclusion explains everything. It may just be the conclusion, but I think something else nefarious happened in between this. The allegedly, my thoughts, the injuries do not fit the accident. So no one has been criminally charged, and there has been no court verdict finding that another person caused her passing. What we can say with certainty is that Tamla went to a celebration and never returned home. So her name deserves to be spoken with dignity. Her children deserve compassion. Her family deserves transparency. And everyone connected to the case deserves reporting based on evidence rather than rumor. So please keep Tamla in your thoughts. Like this live, you guys. Share it with someone who values careful case discussion. And subscribe to the Viral Crimes with Jocelyn family and leave your respectful thoughts in the comments. Around here, no case will be forgotten. So don't meet us there, beat us there. So, in closing on this channel, I'd like to end it with a prayer for the family. So, Lord, we come before you tonight with heavy hearts, and we just ask that you give Tamla's family, her husband, her children, the peace that they need, as hard as it will be for them. You keep, Lord, place in peace, put a hedge of protection around their minds, their spirits, and their soul, and let them know that their mother, their wife, their daughter is not forgotten. And please allow the Viral Crimes with Jocelyn family to continue to speak the truth and continue to speak with compassion. And we just ask that you bless everyone that signed in onto this live and was here with me. And I just ask you to bless them as well, Lord, and bless every subscriber of the Viral Crimes with Jocelyn family. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Thank you guys very much. I always like to end with that because at the end of it all, God is there in the beginning, he's there in the middle, and he is there at the end. So you guys be blessed. Have a great evening. And you guys will see you tomorrow with another case on Viral Crimes with Jocelyn. Thank you very much.